It's not like you think that it has to go a certain way. So in this pull-up, we have the eccentric going up, concentric going down, but in a lat pull-down, we have the concentric and the eccentric. See how those can work in different ways, right? It's not just the plane it's in, or the direction. So then what is the role of the actual muscle? We know the actions, but then what are the different roles of the muscles? Because there's a lot of muscles. I mean, it's just amazing. It's not just your bicep. If I'm doing bicep curls, not just my bicep working. You with me? Like, anyone have any idea what other muscles are working to help me in this bicep curl? Got anything?
Forearms.
Yeah, my forearm's gonna be helping me. And my tricep better be helping me, right? So here, when a muscle contracts, there's gonna be an attempt to pull that distal insertion, right, toward the proximal. Again, that less stable bone moves towards the more stable in a bicep curl, right, so it's your elbow joint moving more than your shoulder. So when we think about the roles that a muscle can play in different movements, it can be the agonist, it can be an antagonist, it can be a stabilizer, it can be a synergist, and it can neutralize. Got a lot of things going on for a very seemingly to us simple movement. Our agonist causes the joint to move when acting concentrically. All right, so this is the primary mover. It's the primary one shortening, causing that movement. So again, right, we have our bicep. They're the muscles most involved. There are also some assisters, is what they're called. These are still helping to move the joint, but it's not the primary one, right? So it's not my main bicep, it's the other ones. We'll talk about those. So we're looking at knee flexion, right? So I'm bringing my knee up. That is, my primary mover is my hamstrings, right? But then I have these other assisters. But typically when we talk about like, oh, what's the muscle working in an RDL? Well, that's going to be our hamstrings. Then we have the antagonist. So this muscle is working with that agonist muscle, so working with that primary mover, but it's acting in a different way. This one has to relax in order to allow for that movement. So when I'm doing a bicep curl, my tricep has to relax to allow me to actually do that motion, because otherwise it's going to constrain it, right? And then I won't be able to right, it just gets more rigid. So we're thinking about knee flexion. The agonist is hamstrings. What do you think the antagonist is? If this is my agonist, quads, I heard it, thank you. Yes, excellent. We also have stabilizers. These surround the joint or the body part to stabilize that area. So that way, again, we're not like all loosey-goosey. So this helps with proper alignment, this helps with posture, this helps with control of the movement, prevents any of that excessive movement that we don't want, that is not helpful. So, for example, in the bicep curl, the muscles of the shoulder joint are going to help to stabilize those muscles in the bicep curl. Then we have synergists. These are kind of like those assisters. They're not the exact same as assisters. They can be assisters. They can also, though, help prevent unwanted movement. We can get more into that later. The brachioradialis and the brachialis are some examples of those synergist muscles. And then we have neutralizers. These counteract to prevent undesired muscle substitutions. And so in the bicep curl, that's the pronator teres. So if we put it all together, right, we have our main primary mover. This is all for one bicep curl. You with me? This is how much goes into it that we probably don't, at least I don't think about every time I do a bicep curl. I have my bicep being activated, right, that's the prime mover. I have my triceps relaxing as the antagonist. And then I have my stabilizer, my deltoid. I have my synergist. Whoo, and then I have my neutralizer. That's a lot, y'all. Isn't that crazy just to do one simple movement? Wow. So why does any of this matter? Well, we want to understand this, right? You're like, okay, Lindsay, that's cool, I guess. Yeah, the muscles work together. But this is going to be helpful for us in a number of ways. One, it's going to be helpful for us to be able to design and prescribe effective programs, we have to understand how the muscles work and how they work in conjunction, so that if there's an error or if we want to optimize on something, then we can design that effective program and analyze the human body accordingly. So, if you want to go into like developing skills or enhancing performance, and we want to understand how this works so that we can create effective instruction and feedback and create optimal rehab programs, right? Interventions. So we're going to do some practice time. So I'm going to bring up an example. I'm going to play a video. I want you with your 1 to 2 people next to you to write down the answer to the questions that I asked. I'm going to ask you what's the agonist, the antagonist, and then if you can identify the concentric and eccentric part. So here we have a leg extension. So here's that movement. Now work with the people next to you to identify, what is that agonist, antagonist, concentric, and eccentric motion. You with me?